Alright, y'all. With this new season comes the final light subclass rework, Arc 3.0. I'm 𝓢𝓠𝓤𝓐𝓛𝓢, and today I'll be covering a pretty crazy Arc 3.0 Warlock build that'll satisfy your ability spamming cravings. I'm switching up the way I explain each weapon and gear feast to hopefully simplify it a little bit more and speed up the process. Let me know in the comments if you like it this way better, and as always, don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed the video, dislike if you didn't, subscribe, and hit that notification bell since I've got Titan and Hunter builds coming up real soon, so don't miss out. As you can see, the build's going to look something like this. Primary weapons and heavy weapons don't matter as much, but for your special weapon, I recommend running the 𝓢𝓠𝓤𝓐𝓛𝓢 fusion rifle. This weapon is going to generate ionic traces for us whenever we, kill targets, has a chance to do so. Collecting an ionic trace overcharges this weapon's next shot, and it jolts targets on hit, which goes really well with our Arc 3.0 build, as we're going to be electrifying literally everything on the battlefield right now. This is a must-have if you want to get the most out of regenerating your abilities really quickly. Onto our helmet, which is our exotic of choice. We've chose the Fallen Sunstar, as this is the craziest helmet that has come to the game for Warlock so far. It basically buffs our ionic traces, so they move faster, grant us additional ability energy, and nearby allies will also gain ability energy when we collect an ionic trace, which is super, super good, super lovely. I've got Well of Ions in here, and that's just because the Ball Lightning ability that the Warlock got actually scales off of melee damage. Moving on to our arms, I just put Bountiful Wells in here. You can choose, to replace this with a different well mod, like some kind of arc mod, but I chose Bountiful Wells because we can actually mix our wells that we generate through our melee and our grenade with the ionic traces to give us even more ability regen. So that's super good. Chest piece, we're running Melee Wellmaker, of course, to generate our arc wells when we do our melee and get kills with it. And for our legs, I have Radiant Light in here just for the plus 20 strength. You don't need this necessarily since we're going to be generating so much ability energy. I'd actually switch this out for Seeking Wells just to have your arc wells come to you rather than you going to them, as well as your ionic traces. So it's going to synergize really well. You'll have just constant ability regen. Abilities up every few seconds. In my bond, I have Elemental Ordnance as well as Utility Kickstart. Actually, you can run Overload Arc Grenades, Bad Amplitude for the champions, as well as if you have an Artifice mod, you can run the Artifact mod that gives you a buff to your Arc Super. For now, this is what I'm running. That's just my choice. You can choose whatever you'd like. I have Elemental Ordnance for more Arc Well generation, since it is an ability build. We're going to be generating arc wells left, right, and center. Onto our abilities. For your super, it actually doesn't matter whether you use Chaos Reach or Storm Trance. Storm Trance is probably the better bet for PvE, Chaos Reach PvP, but I'd say Storm Trance is better. I have Chaos Reach. I don't know, I was just using it and having fun with it. So for our well, I just have the Healing Rift. Chain Lightning is the shorter cooldown, so Chain Lightning would be your best bet. You can choose Ball Lightning if you really like the ability, but since we're going to be using the aspect that changes our melee after we slide, then we're not going to need the longer cooldown of Ball Lightning, so that's why I chose Chain Lightning. I'm choosing Storm Grenades. You can choose whatever grenade you like, but Storm and Pulse Grenades are the best grenades, and then I would also choose Lightning Grenade for PvP. For our aspect, we are running Electrostatic Mind. Defeating targets with arc abilities or defeating jolted/blind targets creates an ionic trace, and collecting the ionic trace will make us amplified. This is very important. We need as many ionic traces as possible. Our second aspect is Lightning Surge. While sliding, activate your charged melee ability to blink forward, calling down lightning strikes that jolt targets as you rematerialize. This is the charged melee that I was talking about, the alternate melee. We're going to be using this as much as possible, because if you slide towards the target and activate this melee, it actually lunges you towards that target. So you aim for the middle of a group of enemies, you're going to go right into the middle of the enemies, obliterate all of them. This does insane amounts of damage. Absolutely wonderful. For our fragments, I'm choosing Spark of Discharge. Arc Weapon Final Blows have a chance to create an ionic trace. I would actually switch this one out. Defeating a jolted target creates an ionic trace. I would also switch it out for this one, considering our weapon is going to be generating us ionic traces, and it's going to be jolting targets. Our grenade, our melee, everything is going to be jolting targets, so we can create ionic traces as much as we want. Our next one is Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by our combatants, we are more resistant to damage. This is definitely a must-have if you're going to be using your melee in a group of enemies. Damage resistance, always lovely. Spark of Magnitude, your Lingering Arc Grenades, Lightning Grenade, Pulse Grenade, and Storm Grenade. They have extended duration. This is actually really good. It lets your Storm Grenade just sit there for a little bit and lightning strike the targets. It can confirm the kills rather than just leave them one shot, so I like to have it on. And Spark of Shot, our arc grenades will be jolting targets. We're going to have arc grenades out there all the time, and they're going to jolt any targets that are left alive. That's going to, in tandem, give us an Ionic Trace. Super, super good. And as for your main stats, I'm aiming for 100 Resilience. Next up, I would aim for either 100 Discipline or 100 Recovery for your Rift, or 100 Strength, depending on what your flavor is, what you want to go for. You can even do 100 Intellect if you want to get your super back and just spam that. That is basically the build. I will have a dim link in the description for this build. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to cover Titan or Hunter next. I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day, guys. Thanks for watching.